Hi, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Hello.
Thank you very much. I will start the webinar fastly. About that project, everything is started for me with a question. This question, how can we create the engineering designs of ships with artificial intelligence? Actually, a couple of years ago, I asked that question because AI was increasing with every area. And that's why I said, why not for naval architect sector, we can't use artificial intelligence applications. And then I started to work about that questions. And since 1 year, I'm just working about that question. Actually, this question is a little bit hard, we can say. That's why, firstly, we can try to understand how AI is working. Actually, you will show with numbers. Everybody should know whole pictures are creating with pixels, and these pixels have their codes and their numbers. Actually, AI is just finding the true numbers, and just they are putting true numbers to true clusters. When we think about that, AI is just working with numbers. It's just finding the true numbers and it's putting them to the true clusters, and it's understanding the geometries. When it understands the geometries, it can start to create new pictures. Actually, processes continue like this. Secondly, we can think about Tesla model cars. Everybody know these cars can go automatically. You are not doing anything, but these cars can go. How? Actually, they're just using basic AI models. We can say this is same with creating a picture. This is not different because in the past, somebody's created some AI models and they gave that educations, thousands of pictures they gave, and AI understand the human shapes, dog shapes, and some problematic shapes. And when the AI is see the problematic shapes, it's just stopping or it's giving reaction. But in the same time, it's given that reaction. This is just one differences from that creating image. Let's continue and we can think about the architecture part. For architecture, actually many AI models we can see and they are creating 3D models, and this is true. This is not for naval architecture, of course, but when you want to create a building, you are just writing the specifications, how many rooms, how many meters square, and everything, and AI is creating the 3D models. Actually, for engineers too, or architectures too, this AI is still continue to increase. Let's think about the naval architecture sector. For understand this question, we should check the design process basically. I'm sure everybody saw that picture in the past. This is a design spiral. It's starting from beginning and it's continue to end. If is there some problems, for example, in powering part, you have to go to beginning and you have to renovate whole that process and you have to continue to process actually. When we think about them, actually create a fishing vessel, the process will be same. If the process is same, actually we can teach that to AI, and this is not that hard. Right now, we can say two things. First one, AI is working with numbers, and second one, ship design process, when we check the basics, they are same. Right now, let's continue my working actually about that subject. As I said, I worked at science 1 year and I created an application. This is basic application, of course, but it's given to us the result. And during the webinar, we will create a 3D hull model. Firstly, I want to tell you the process, how we started to that project. Everybody know hull ships and hull types are so different. Tanker ships are so different and other type of ships have different hull models. That's why in the beginning, just we wanted to choose a ship area. And for this, I choose the yachts because in the past, every time I worked about yachts, and that's why I have a good experience about yachts. At the same time, I have a little bit data. That's why I choose the yacht part. And I wanted to continue with yachts. And then I created new filter and I said displacement, sailing, and planning. And from this displacement type, I was continue. And in here, we can see 4 options: steel, aluminium, wood, and other ships. And then again, I separated monohull and catamaran. Inside the monohull, still I was continue to separate because steel hull shapes are totally different. That's why I created different groups. For example, 0 behind 5 meters is a group, 20 and 25 meters is a group. I choose just 65 behind 85 meters, and inside that group, I created a data, we can say. For data, firstly, in the whole world, I find the whole ships in that area, and at the same time, from internet, their whole informations. How many meters, what is their beams, and if is there any information about that, just I took that information from internet. It was the first job. And secondly, I could prepare some hull designs because for every ship, we need a 3D model, 3D hull model. Because in the beginning, I wanted to create just hull models. That's why if you want to create with AI a 3D hull model, you need whole that 3D models. That's why I created 144 3D hull design. And after that, I could just do a choice. And there was 2 options. First option, we could just work with north surface and with control points and with that mathematics actually. And second option was working with mesh. I choose the mesh option because for calculation and actually for everything, whole process, meshes are more basic because their structure are not very complex. That's why I wanted to choose the option 2 in the beginning, and we created the process with mesh. And I can continue. When we create the meshes, there was a big problem. If you want to create a machine learning algorithm, the data count have to same. For example, when you create that bot and when you convert to the mesh, this bot can have 5,000 mesh, we can say. But when you create a small bot, the mesh count will be different. And if this mesh count is different, we can't do any machine learning. That's why the data have to same count. They have to be same count actually. At the same time, of course, we find some algorithms and with softwares, we did the same numbers mesh, but it didn't work too at the same time because when we think about the meshes, they are including 2 different files. First file about the coordinates and second file about the connection of the mesh. Coordinate is just including corners coordinates for every triangle. Face file is just showing how that triangles are connected. There was just 2 different files, but you can do it with same mesh count, but still that files will be different and you can't do machine learning. That's why we just used a mathematical algorithm, and finally the counts was same and we created the machine learning algorithm. Right now, I want to show you this basic application, and I want to show you an example too. I'm coming to the small application. Just in folder paths part, I will just choose the file locations. Save all model option is choosing the machine learning model. In the past, I created that model, and right now I am using. This is 16 gigabyte, and when you want to create that file, it's taken so long time. That's why I am not creating during the webinar. I created in the past, just I want to use right now. But we can say this is our machine learning algorithm. Actually, in that file, we can see the whole AI knowledge. I am just choosing that file, and the location will come here. And secondly, we will create a new hull design, 3D model actually. For this, we have to choose a location. I want to write coordinates. And secondly, we have to import the data. I am choosing and output 1 have my data. Actually, In the PowerPoint, I was showing all that informations are inside that txt file. I am choosing open option and prediction. During the process, we are changing the numbers for this app file. I will just write suggestion. And then we can continue with model part. When I choose the create all model, it will just use that information text. I can show you from here. It will just use that file and it will create to that machine learning model. But right now, as I said, during the webinar, I will not do that job. My machine learning algorithm is already ready. Just that's why I want to write here the specifications and I want to create a hull design. Right now we are seeing 4 options in here: length, width, depth, and draft. Why? Because for beginning, just I wanted to choose 4 different options. They was the main dimensions. Just I will write some numbers. I am writing the numbers like this. I will show you. In the beginning, we were just choosing that part, and whole education we created with that ships. That's why I should write there behind 65 meters and 85 meters ship main dimensions. I will write 75. For width, I can write 7.5. For depth, we can write 8. And for draft, we can write 4.1. And then I will just choose the create test model and it will work a little bit. When it's done in Rhino, we can see the result. Right now, I can continue with PowerPoint. When that application finish that job, we will create that designs. This hull models totally created with that machine learning algorithm, actually. Of course, they are seems like our database, but they are totally different. But with every AI applications, the result will be similar with your data. I will not wait for this application. We can continue for now, and end of the webinar, we can see the result. Until this time, we saw that we can create new 3D hull models or 3D designs too with just AI. But this one was so basic algorithm, really. If you want to create a good AI design for a naval architecture sector, it will work definitely very, very good. And actually, I am working about that subject science 1 year because when I see the result, it was real. And couple of years later, probably we will see that. And maybe we will do that, or maybe some companies will do that and they will give us. Right now, how we can increase that AI? Actually, AI is not true for now. Machine learning model, I will say. How we can increase that machine learning model and we can create an AI model. And this AI model can be so useful for naval architecture sector. Firstly, we were working with mesh. Actually, this is a problem for everybody because if you are working science long time in naval architecture sector, generally nobody don't like the meshes because when you do some jobs, meshes are every time problematic. That's why in the beginning, just we can continue to process with north surfaces. Actually, in Rhino, we are seeing just normal 3D shapes, but under the Rhino, all that shapes have a mathematic. Actually, they have a numbers too. If they have some numbers, of course, we can take that numbers and we can show the AI. And it will create the true groups. And in that case, it will create the new designs too. That's why our first step must be create the 3D model database. Then secondly, we will convert all that 3D models to numbers. And after this, we will list all that numbers because every number have to be in true place, and at the same time whole 3D model numbers have to be same count. That's why we have to list all that numbers, and after that we can continue with API. Actually, this is easy job because Chat GPT or Gemini, this type of AI models are sharing their APIs. And when we import that APIs to our software, just our AI model will know a lot of things because everybody knows ChatGPT knows a lot about the ships. At the same time, they're a language model. When we import that APIs, somebody can write the specifications. like Chat GPT, because, for example, if we want to create an image, we are writing the specifications and the process will be same in that case. If we want to create a 3D ship design, then just we have to write all the specifications, and then our software or AI model will create the new 3D design. After listed all that numbers and APIs, we can continue with specifications. For whole ships, we have to create some specifications, and in that case, AI can learn. And what is that specifications? For our applications, I use just for specification. They was just that main dimensions, but we can add a lot of specifications. For example, main dimensions can be hydrostatic calculations, stability calculations, resistance, motions, handling, load calculations, and whole type of calculations we can add the software. Just it should be like this. We have to import all that 3D models, and our software have to calculate everything, and whole results will be specifications. And in that case, if we are teaching to AI with our specifications, when we want to create a new model, we can set the specifications to. For example, we can say stability must be very, very good, but resistance have not to be very good. Or we can say resistance is not important, stability must be very good. Just we can give some type of comments like this, and in that case AI can find the perfect option for us, because everybody know if you want to more find stability, of course you will lose from resistance, or if you want a good resistance, just you will lose from stability. That's why when we give to AI all that calculations, AI will know all the results, and in that case, when we want to create a new design, we can just set that specifications to. At the same time, in the future, we can add some specific subjects too. For example, pipes, outfitting, interior design, electric and weight calculations, and we can add more and more. Just for this type of jobs, we have to give the data. For pipes, we have to create whole pipe designs for our ship models, and after that, our AI model can learn from that 3D models, and it can create 3D pipe models too. About outfitting, the process is same. If we are finding whole outfitting equipments 3D models, then if we are giving to AI, of course, finally it will learn and it can prepare really good outfitting model too. After that jobs, just we will create the machine learning application and we will create the new 3D model. Just in here, the hard part is preparing all that calculations and import the software. But this one is not very hard job, because just we have to write a code, and this code have to prepare the hydrostatics. We have to write a code, and this code have to prepare the stability. Nearly from Excel, we can do all that calculations. Just we have to convert the code, that's all. And when we do that, AI will understand what is the difference for a yacht or a tanker. For here, as I said, if we are creating our software and if we are adding all that calculations inside that software, finally it will create just our 3D designs. Right now we are seeing just 3D hull models, but of course this will change. And if we are teaching to machine learning with superstructure, will show to us with superstructure actually. Right now, actually there is 3 different subjects, main subject. The first one is data, and the hardest part, if we want to create a AI model for every ship, and if we want to use the industry, we have to create thousands of 3D model data. We can't take them from shipyards because generally they have some agreements. That's why they can't share with us. They can want maybe, but still they can't share. That's why if we are creating that AI model, we have to create that data. And secondly, software. For software, we have to prepare all the calculations for our software. And then finally, when we import a 3D model inside that software, all that calculations will prepare automatically. And APIs, for APIs, we will not do any job actually, just we will import our software and the process will be done. And then end of this, like Chat GPT. When you want to create an image, you are just saying to Chat GPT, I am wanting an image. I want to see red flowers. I want to see a good image, and we can add more. Just we have to write like this, and we have to write the specifications and everything, and it will create the 3D engineering model. Generally, my working was like this. Secondly, I can show you what is the price of AI models in the whole world. When you check the basic AI models, for example, they are just fixing the sound or they are just creating a picture, and all of that AIs is starting from $60 million. This is their values actually. And when you check more complicated AI models, the values are more and more big. And for this, for naval architecture sector, of course, I created a benchmark and I just tried to calculate when we create that AI model and when this AI model help to engineers 20%. And if that AI model is working very good, yes, I am sure from that to minimum 20%, everything will be more fast. And for this, we can check the value. In the whole world, around $400 billion, whole the shipbuilding industry, actually manufacture and design and everything includes to that number, $400 billion. Just $20 billion, nearly 7%, we can say, for design, and this is design's value, $20 billion. And if we are creating that AI model, or if someone is creating, the value will be nearly $5 billion, we can say. Of course, this is basic calculations. Maybe in every country, people will not interest with that project. But at the same time, if we are creating for naval architecture sector to that AI application, from every sector, they will use to that application. Because if we are preparing that AI process with pipe, somebody can create a factory with that AI model. And everybody know. And generally ships are including all the systems. That's why if we are creating for the ships to that AI model, the normal people too, they will want to use that AI model. And that's why this price, final price can change. After whole informations, I want to ask to you, do you want to work for that project? Actually, I'm not looking for investment, just I want to work with thousands of engineers. Why I think like this? Because for that project, we have to create that 3D model data. And if you want to 10,000 design, for example, yes, we need a lot of money for that. Of course, I calculated, but minimum for per month for that project, I need $5 million. And little bit hard. I'm not rich that much. And that's why I have to find some investors and maybe it can continue like this. But this is still very hard job. But when we work with the engineers, just in the beginning, we will create the project and in 6 months, maybe a little bit more, 8 months, we can create the basic model. Just we can finish the 50% of the job and that project will have $200 million. Yes. The values are so big. That's why I'm confused a little bit. But I'm working about benchmark and we created a good working about that. When somebody successes that project, the value will be minimum $200 million. Actually, if we are creating that system with engineers, of course, we will share with stocks. And finally, engineers can won from that project. I am believing like this. End of this 5 years later maximum, I am believing like this. If we are not successing that project, finally someone will success that project actually and they will give us. And actually if we are checking the Chat GPT's past, they were working like this. They have not very much money. That's why they are just doing some agreement with engineers. And in that agreement, they are just given some stocks and end of this, Chat GPT success it. And for that AI project too, I am thinking the same. If we are wanting to create that project, of course, in short time, we can create it. because at the same time, when I shared that webinar, a lot of people write to me, actually a lot of engineers. Somebody's are working about data science and somebody's are working creating AI models. And I saw that one. It was a dream for everybody. Minimum from 50 people, I heard it the same idea. And at the same time, this is so clear and we can just do that project. I am believing that. That's why I wanted to create that webinar and with everybody. I wanted to continue that project and end of 6 months or 8 months, just we can success it that project. If you want to join to that project, just somehow you can contact with me and we can talk about that more. Right now, actually, I am alone. That's why I have to create a team in the beginning, small team, because I can't do every job alone and it's taken so much time. And that's why in the beginning, just we can create a team and we can work together. If you are interested with that project, just you can contact with me. And for this webinar, I wanted to say that once. If you want to talk about that right now or about projects, subjects, or any questions, we can talk right now. You can ask your questions. I will close my screen. I hope you liked and enjoyed. And at the same time, for example, just when we create that data and when we try to that AI model, if we are success in it, of course, everybody will want minimum $100,000, and this is curtain. If we are not success in that project, still we have the data, isn't it? And we can just use data and we can share to everybody. And for example, if you are supporting that project, we will just share all the data with you. And finally, just end of this, you will have your database. Actually, just when you want to create new design, you will have your data. And if you are not success in it, yes, everybody can take these 3D models and everything, and everybody can use for themselves. I will check the chat. About the CFD, I can say like this, because, for example, when we want to create a 3D hull model, how we are working, firstly, we are creating a basic hull model, and then we are creating options. For example, 500 options we are creating, and from that 500 option, we are just choosing one, and actually not one, minimum 10 or something like this. We are choosing that good ones and we are doing the CFD calculations, isn't it? For our process, we can add the CFD too. How, for example, with basic calculations, in the beginning, we can just create the structure and just we can find the good options, and if is there 3 different option or 4 different option, the good ones, the CFD analyze can work inside the software and it can give us the true results too at the same time. I am thinking like this. Of course, for CFD, this is not very easy job. This is hard actually. But when we think about the CFD, actually, generally, we are not writing our codes. Just in the software, we are writing the true numbers to everywhere. And finally, that software is creating the CFD calculations. The software is already developed. Just AI have to learn in which place he have to write true numbers. Just he have to learn the true numbers for every ship and every specifications. Just he can feel it actually. I am thinking like this about that subject. Yes, about the data, I can say like this. When we want to create the data will not be perfect because in the beginning, for example, from internet, we will find the whole ships and they already produce it and we have their pictures. From pictures and from specifications from internet, of course, we will learn, not a lot of. We will try to create 3D models, and these 3D models will not be perfect. They will be maximum maybe 50% true. And finally, end of the AI result, this will be a little bit problematic. Actually, not that problematic. The result will be good, of course. We will see good shapes, but for calculation will not be perfect. But at the same time, we are adding that calculations. In a time, the result will be more and more fine. Of course, for AI projects, the result will not be 100% true, but it will be close to 100. For sharing the people to that one, and if we are working together with a so big group, Of course, we have to prepare some documentations and contract behind us, and we can continue to project like this. And as I said, there will be two results, and we have to prepare that contract. And because if you are joining that project, you will give time for protection for everybody. Of course, we have to create a contract with everybody. But about this, how we will work, how we will create the contracts, and actually for this, I want to wait the second webinar because this is about that subject. This is first webinar, and in second webinar, we will know with who we can work, and we can continue with that group, and we can talk about that subject. I planned like this. Generally, yes. All that shipyards, they have their hull forms and they are using that form. Why? Because in the beginning they have that experiences and they don't want to see more action. They are just using the same hulls every time. They are just changing the structure a little bit and they are using the same hulls. How they will want to that? They are using the same hulls every time. Of course, they can just want to continue with their data. They will not want to use our AI model. But at the same time, they are just using the same hull data, same hulls or same structures. Why? Because they have experiences about that. And when they want to create a project, they are not starting from zero in that case. But if that AI model creating the just basic part, of course, everybody will want that because in that case, they can create different designs with same time. And that's why it can be useful. I am believing that. Yes, generally every time I use Python script, and for right now I am using Python script. Otherwise, whole that coding job we did from Python. Of course, in the beginning we can try to connect with CFD. Actually, just we know that we can connect with CFD at the same time we can connect with structure analyze too. But just software team will give us that result. If we can success it in short time and if it is working clearly, why not? We can try to do that. I didn't set any date for now. Just as I said, right now I am alone. Just I have to write somebody's and we have to create a small team in the beginning, 15%, 20%, and we can just prepare the other jobs together because a lot of email is coming. I have to check to everybody and this is so hard. Taken so long, not very hard, but taken so much time. That's why first for beginning, I want to create a team. Just I am not choosing to anybody specific. Just you are sending me some emails, and from there I will just choose the experienced people and have good experiences. In that case, they will just manage the whole process very good, and I am believing them. That's why for beginning, I want to choose them and I want to talk with them firstly. And secondly, we can create the next webinar and we can decide how we will work, how we will create the teams, how we will prepare the agreements and everything.